All right, guys, we're going to start on the midsection or the input drum of the 4L60 shelf build at this time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we're still doing the giveaway. We're still not up to 1,000 yet, but we'll be there soon enough, I hope, and we'll see if we can't give some stuff away. So what I like to do first on my input drum, after I get it all clean, of course, is inspect, make sure that the input shaft is tight in the drum. There are some guys that like to push the shaft out every time. They lock tight the shaft and then put the shaft back in. I like to vacuum test my drum and see if I've got any leaks. If it's not leaking and it's still really tight in the drum and there's no sign of any issues there, then I'll just move forward from there. Before I can assemble the input drum, I vacuum test the check valve capsule. This capsule is in the 4th clutch circuit, so if this capsule is leaking, you will have a 4th clutch issue and it will eventually just wipe out the 3-4 clutches. So we will take our Sonax vacuum tester and we'll put our hose adapter right on top of the orifice, and you notice that it draws all the way down. That check valve is sealing the way it's supposed to. If you get one that doesn't vacuum test correctly, you can tap the check ball from the other side, actually flip the drum over, use a small punch, go down inside there and tap the input or tap the check ball into the seat. Don't tap too hard. You can break the check ball capsule and push it through the drum. Or if the check ball capsule won't seal up at all, drive it out. You can get a brand new one. AC Delco makes them and it's not a big deal to replace it. So we're going to get the Teflon rings cut off of this, install our new Teflon rings, and install or assemble the input drum. Our 3-4 piston installed in there. Now we are going to set up our other piston. This part we do our own way. Now we've got our 4th piston in there. We are going to set this part up. First I'm going to drop some parts. Plenty of lubrication is always a good thing. Some guys say I'm a little overzealous with my assembly goop, but I like everything to be very well lubricated. Nobody likes one going in dry. We're going to install our 068 selective thrust washer at this time, and we're going to install our bearing. Now a lot of guys would say, why are you doing this step? Because this doesn't happen until you go start over there. Personally, I like to have my bearing in place and have my washer in place while I keep my ring sizing tool on the back of the input drum. Get out of there, oil. That way the sealing rings have as much time as they can to set up correctly. So I'm going to flip it over and start putting pieces in. Start with our overrun clutch. Going to get our new AC Delco bearing in the back of our input sprag. Input sprag has already been assembled. And if you guys need to know what direction this thing spins, we'll go ahead and do it again. Holding the sun gear, the outer race spins away from you. Just like so. I'm gonna set that guy down in there. Come on, go in your hole. Feel like a rookie. Can't get it in the clutches. Come on. Drop in. There she is. Now go on. Get in there. Gonna start our forward clutch stack up. Wave plate first. And steel plates on top of it. Pressure plate put in, and our snap ring. There's not a lot of selectiveness in the forward clutch. We have already taken the time to measure the forward clutch on this particular unit. The thing that we would like to go over with you guys more than anything at this point is stacking up our 3/4 clutch. So, we get our pressure plates, everything lined up, and we'll be right back with you. All right, now that we've got our forward clutches in there, I'm gonna start with getting a pressure plate put in, steel plate, Now, some guys will do this before, some guys will do it after. I like to measure mine without the rings in, without the return springs in, and actually measure the clearance right here. There's two ways to do this. Some guys will chuck this up in a vise or put it in the pump, apply air to it, and we'll watch the amount of lift and measure the top of the input drum down to the surface of the pressure plate. You could use a feeler gauge in between the snap ring and the surface of the pressure plate. Before I measure mine, I always like to apply air to it and make sure that the snap ring is fully seated. Make sure your pressure plate is seated against the 5-tang apply piston, and make sure that it's holding air. Otherwise, there's no sense in sitting here adjusting the input. If we're going to adjust clutch clearance, might as well make sure that it needs to be adjusted. Ew. Don't hear any leaks in it. Now to the coast clutch. Coast clutch is working the way it's supposed to. Now, set this out of our way. Grab my caliper. We are at 0.35. To me, that's too loose. We'll be changing the pressure plates around. We've got some selective pressure plates that we like to use. I like this value to be at 020 or 015. Anything above 020 is a problem, and it's going to be a comeback later. So we're going to get these numbers down where we want them and continue assembly. All right, guys, now we've got our clutch clearance set where we want it. We've got it right down to 20 thousandths, which is perfect in my opinion. We've already air checked our drum. We know that our drum works, so we're going to set this off to the side and move on to the reverse input drum. Our reverse input drum, we are using the Transgo SK shift kit in it, and part of the shift kit is to actually drill through the second hole on the back of the reverse input drum piston.
Give me a nicer drill bit here.
We're going to drill a small hole through here. And it ain't gonna hurt nothing, guys. Don't be afraid to put a drill next to your parts. You're not gonna tear them up. Now, we are installing these little bitty capsule orifices. And we are driving those into the ledge of the piston. Now that those are in, we're gonna put our lip seals on and reassemble this thing. We actually bought a brand new AC Delco fully loaded reverse input drum. Our original reverse input drum was very, very warped, so get this all ready here. Now we're going to put our piston in our drum. Never hurts to have plenty of lubrication on there. Always want to go in wet. Don't go in dry. It's not good for you. Now that our piston's in, we're going to put our return spring in. Put our return spring retaining snap ring in there. Now that our snap ring is in, we're going to start getting this stuff out of the way and get ready to do our servo. I'm going to go through what Transgo tells you to do on here. I'm not going to show you guys any pictures because we don't own the rights to that, but we'll at least show you how we put our servos together. All right, time to move on to the servo. As we said earlier, we are using the Transgo SK shift kit. Part of their shift kit tells you to cut 4 notches evenly around this thing. Don't look too close at my evenly because it's not very evenly, but that's not that big of a deal. So we're going to put our blue spring, black spring, and original spring, and we're going to put our spring spacer on there. And we're going to put all of this in there. We're going to press it down. I'm going to go to the arbor press.
Yay.
Yay, arbor press. Like so, just like that. Absolutely beautiful. Couldn't have done it better myself if I tried. Now, we are also using the Shift Technologies Super Servo. So instead of reusing our factory spring, we are going to be using the blue spring that is supplied in their little box there. Put the washer back on, put the E-clip back in it. Just like so. Get some new Teflon rings out. Put those guys on there. Make sure your ends aren't overlapping. Too big. if you guys are doing a Transgo shift kit install on your own, part of the shift kit will tell you the 1-2 shift is going to be controlled by the servo size. So you want to note those numbers right down there where it says 553 is the last 3 digits there. That's the digits that they're looking for. In the instructions, if you get to a point where it asks you if it's a 096 or 553 or so on and so forth, that's what they're referring to. So we're gonna lay this down and grab us some O-rings. Mainly a red O-ring. Forgot to grab the red O-ring. Don't put your purple O-ring right here. Don't put the blue O-ring right here. Put the red O-ring right there.
Understood.
Okay. This is not one of those color moves. Red only. I like
If you're
to.
colorblind, just guess.
Yes. Yep. If you're doing this blindfolded, feel for the red one. Feel carefully. Now we're going to move on to the rest of this. So first I'm gonna wipe all this green goo off my hand. I'm getting super slippery over here. Give me a slip and slide. I could have a real good time. All right. Grab our apply piston. Get over there. We didn't need that anyways. Put our seal on like so. Most of the time I lubricate the seal that I'm putting in, not the bore that it's going into. I don't know why I do it that way, but I just always have. But on this particular spot, I like to do it backwards. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. I'm okay with it though. Plenty of blue goo. Ta-da! Since we are using a new band, and I think it's going to work out perfect the first time, we are not using the spacer. For you guys that are reusing your old band, use the spacer. It's a great thing. Helps keep servo travel to a minimum. But we are using a brand new band, so we're not going to use that thing. We're going to grab some parts and see if we can't stuff all this stuff in the hole. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back yet again with our 4L60 shelf build. We have our reverse input drum, our input drum, our servo ready to install here. Oh, man, can't forget the band. You gotta have one of those. If you leave this out, you won't have second or fourth. I have not personally left one out, but I have seen it happen more than once. Another quick tip for you guys, if you got one that's come in with no second and fourth, look for this ring to be blown out. That's a super common problem. We see a ton of those in here. Some of you guys are gonna say, oh man, you're building a nice tranny, but you're using a narrow band. I like the narrow bands. If you don't like to use the narrow bands in your 4L60 transmission that is non-high horsepower, that's not my problem. I don't honestly care. I'm going to use this one and I'm gonna like it. And if it's a race transmission, we'll talk about a different band altogether. But otherwise, suck it. So with that being said, don't forget about the subscribing thing. We're going to give away some stuff, some things, clutches, paper, rubber, all that kind of stuff. And like, share, subscribe. We're gonna start putting this stuff in. If you're installing your input drum and you get it stuck, had a guy ask me this here not too long ago, and I really didn't have a lot of good answers for him. I personally have used pry bars against the ledge of the shaft. I have used a bearing splitter against this edge and then pry bars on the case. I've built a jig to actually bolt to the side of it and use a puller to pull it out. If you get one stuck, I don't know what to tell you outside of just wiggle and pull. Good luck. So here we go. It should go in the same manner. Should just be a wiggle and twist and drop, and everybody should be happy. I think everybody's happy. We're all the way at the bottom. Some guys put their servo in at this point. I prefer to put the band in before I put the servo in. Some guys put the band in before they even put the input drum in, but that's their own way of doing it. So going to angle the band over just a little bit, push it down in this hole. I get my screwdriver right here and just kind of give her a light tapping, and it just kind of falls in there. It's the weirdest thing. Now we're going to wrap the band around the side, put it just like so. Now that we've got our band hole in the anchor pin hole, we're going to go ahead and put the anchor pin in. Oh no, I missed. Yeah, we'll worry about that here in a second. Let's get our servo in. If the servo is assembled correctly, it should just push right in there. I usually like to use like a flathead screwdriver and kind of hold it over like that. Then you can actually work the snap ring in right next to it. Just like so. Now we're going to reach down inside of here, push our anchor pin back, move our band into position, push the anchor pin in. Bob's your uncle. This is the point where we're going to leave this particular transmission. We are going to start a new video. We're going to talk about machining our pump, getting all the valves in the pump set up the way we want them. Typically, we like to stand this drum up on the back side of our stator. We'll assemble everything and we'll vacuum test through several different holes, and we'll apply lube oil through those holes and apply air pressure to them. We're not going to do that in this video. The main reason I'm not doing it that way is I want to show you guys what all of this does and how it works, and then we're going to assemble it into the transmission and show you how it works inside of the transmission. So we'll be back next time with a little bit more.